Hello everybody, Alex here from Snake on Exotics, and as you saw yesterday we had some training fails with the Savannah monitor. So we've got to look into her training, go back a couple of steps and go back to the basics and try and get her a bit more on the target training and figure out some other processes to try and stop her biting. I want to do some more handling today. We didn't do the Savannah entry lesser blaze and stuff like that because after being bit on the ear I wasn't too keen on doing more handling, so we will do some more today. I've got to do some water changes and stuff like that as well, and we'll see how we get on with the day. So I'll see you in a bit. I think we do a little bit of handling first, then I'm going to pick one animal and I'm going to do an in-depth care video on that. So I want to do a tiny little bit of handling, then I'm going to pick one species of animal today and I'm going to do a little bit more intense talking about them and the husbandry and the environment and how to look after them properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the entry lesser blaze male royal piping out, then I'm going to set us up on the till area so we can put him down a little bit and we can try and do a little bit more of the head taming with him and see how we get on. Because while I'm up like this, sometimes it's hard to do some of the techniques I want to try and do. So if we have him on the till area, it might be a good chance we can have his body on there, so I've got more hands to do more stuff with his head with. So we get him down now. Do we need the ladders? You might know all about the ladder. There we go. That was easy peasy. So what we'll do is I'll get set up around there and we can have a little talk and handle of it. Okay, so here is our lovely little male entry lesser blaze. Yes. So he's doing really well. When you first pick him up, he does get a little bit timid because he's still in training really with his handling. You can get a little bit scared, so we have to be a little bit slow with our movements and stuff like that, make sure we don't startle him. So what we're going to do, see, we're just going to be stroking underneath his chin for the start. So he's used to doing that because as he slithers around, he rubs his chin on the floor anyway. So he is used to his chin being touched by stuff. So we can go underneath his chin, just give him little strokies underneath his chin. I know you don't like it, I know you don't like it. So then we just go back of the head, but he doesn't like that as much. So it's nice, slow, steady movements, so we don't start him. Go back to under the chin. See if we can put his body down. There we go. And then we're just going to try and do the pin. Oh, he didn't like that. He didn't like that. So when we pin him at the back of the neck, he gives he has to be very trusting in us because we've just taken all his defense away. Once we've got his head, he's completely defenseless. So we need to be nice and steady when we're doing anything with his head. So I'll try again. I've gone further back though. Didn't flinch as much. That was quite good. So we can try again. Go underneath and we go a little bit higher up this time. Oh, he's going to pull back. So I'm not holding him, I just let him slip through my hands. And eventually we'll be able to hold him on the head like that. So I'm not stopping him, I'm just moving with him basically, and then I'll let him slide out. And then I'll reset and we can go again. There we go, so I just grab him on the back of the neck. Oh, just like so. And I'll let him slide out again. And we keep doing that, and then eventually we can start. Oh, he doesn't like it. You're okay, mate. You're okay, calm down. So we're under the chin again, back of the neck, let him slide out. The end game is we'd be able to get his hand like that, and our hand will be able to close round his head. That's end game stage. But he's nowhere near that yet. So we're not even going to try and encase his head. We can try the backwards grab. So he's still not too keen on us grabbing near his head. So it's sort of like that. There we go, that's perfect grab. And then he slides out. The idea behind that, eventually we can start closing our fingers and then eventually go round his head. That's the idea behind that. He's doing really quite well. He's been eating all his food for us, but he's still not too keen on the head. What we don't want is him flinching all the time. If we can get rid of him flinching, he'd be a really, really good snake. That's my main aim now, is to keep doing this every other day, but apart from Saturday, Sunday and Monday. The rest of the week we'll be doing every other day training, and I give him a gap so it gives him time to think about what we did when he was training. It takes a long time for it to sink in what's gone on, what they've just been through and stuff like that. So I give them a day just to let everything sink in and let them realise that, oh, nothing bad happened yesterday, it was alright to be fair. So I'm going to try another pin. I've gone right at the back of his neck and he's slid out absolutely fine. The more we handle him, the more he's going to get used to it and the more we'll be able to do. Such a nice looking lad, I have to admit. So we try again. Oh, he didn't like that one. Try just on top. There we go. So you can see I've got my finger on the top of his head and I'm pinning his chin down, and he's settled down now. So now he's defenceless because I've got his head pinned down. If he wanted to, he could whip his head out, but he's being very, very brave and letting me hold his head down. Because in his head he can't defend himself now because I've got his head. He's being really nice letting us touch his head. He's not too keen on it, that's why he's trying to go underneath his own body. That's a really big step for him, this is, letting us touch him on the head. Doesn't like it, so he's trying to put his nose underneath. So he's not too keen on the restraining yet, but he's letting us touch him on his head, which is a big, big step forward. So I'll put him back and we can crack up with our next couple of jobs. One thing we need to do today, we need to check our little crested gecko and see if he's ate his food we put in yesterday. If I remember right, we put in 3 locusts yesterday, so we should have hopefully less locusts. So I can see 1 already. 1, there's 2. No, still 3. 2 and 3. Nobody's ate anything. But has he been and had... Oh, it looks like he may have been and had some of the pop. The jelly pot. Nah, it looks like the locusts have been nibbling that more than anything. No, it doesn't look like he's had any. But he's just down here. Hello, little dude. Let's have a little check on you. How you doing? I think he's on my thumb. There he is. He's so light you can barely feel him. How you doing, little dude? I'm going to focus on you. There we go. How you doing, little mate? Don't you jump. Don't you jump. Don't you jump. I'm okay. Hello. What are you doing? Didn't you fancy no buggies? No buggies? We ain't got to worry about you biting me, have we? No, we don't. Oh, he's off, he's off, he's off. So we'll put him back in and hopefully he'll have some bugs in the next couple of days. Grab him quick before he goes too far. He's back in his tank. We'll put the bush back where it was and we can leave him to it. Or we'll give him a spray. We've got to give him a spray. This is for the humidity, so I'm not going to go mad. Just little sprays just to raise the humidity up. We love a little crested gecko. So they don't like really warm tanks. You're looking at about 26 to 28 maximum. Any higher than that and they don't like it at all. I'd say 26 is a good temperature for them. The humidity, you're looking at about between 50 and 60%, which we are virtually bang on. 60 to 70 would also be okay. Until he's in a fully bioactive tank, you're going to struggle to get the 80% and keep it at 80. They would like 80%, but of course that's when you're in a fully bioactive tank with loads and loads of plants. Between 50, 60 and 70 is a reasonable amount throughout the day, but as soon as we spray it, it's going to go up to probably hopefully around 70, and then it will dry out through the day to probably about 50%, and then you want to respray it again once you get down to 50. We've also got baby Pac-Man to feed, so we're going to give Mr. Baby Pac-Man and little Locust and see if he's a hungry boy. There he is, with his slightly skewy eyes. What's this, buddy? Why, that didn't take you a second. Why, he was straight on it, jumped halfway across the tank and obliterated it. Oh, you smashed that, buddy. I don't think he's big enough for a mouse yet. I just don't think he is. He's putting on some size, but just not that much. Right, there's me thumb next to him. He's not a big boy at all. He's got bigger, but he's not big enough to have a pinky yet. So we're going to carry on with the locust every other day. Make sure he's getting big and strong. Let's see if he wants another one. Wahaha. We eat 2 in a row. We shall see. Another one. Oh, yes, he does. Oh, 2 in one day. Oh, look at that. Look at his little tiny leggies. Is that nice? Oh, he's got a twofer. He's had a twofer today. Proper little dude. Ain't you, mate? His eyes are definitely askew. Definitely. He's looking at me and he's looking out the side of the tank. Such a little... Thinking since little Pac-Man frog did so well, I'm going to choose them as the animal to talk about for our main animal today. So there are multiple different ways of housing them, but it's got to be something waterproof, because there's going to be so much water and you'll be spraying them and stuff like that. A wooden tank is just going to be no good. So you have 2 options basically. You've got the smaller plastic terrariums. They're okay. They will do the job, but not as good as some other things would. And some people would say they were slightly too small. I think you would get away with it, but if you could afford a bigger one would be better. The tank that we would say, which is really, really good size, waterproof and all stuff like that, is the 60 by 45, which we happen to have in stock, which is this bad boy right here. It's a big tank. It is a big tank. Personally, I think you probably get away with that one, but in the regs it does say that your 60 by 45 by 30 is what they suggest. You probably get away with that one. So you have multiple different types. You've got the normal green ones, which are the original ones. Then you have the albinos, which were the second ones that they came up with. And then you start getting all the strawberries, the apricots, the ornates and all stuff like that. They are really cool non-touching pets. So they're a looking at pet. So you want to set the enclosure up as nice as you can, because you're not going to be getting out these frogs and handling them. The only time you do that is if you're trying to transport them through a different container, and you'd have to wash your hands first, because our oils on our hands damage the skin of the frog, and we don't want that. You saw earlier, this is the green one. This is a bog standard, oh he's off, green Pac-Man frog. So it's just a light green with little brown markings. Then you get the albino. So our albino is just down there. So we're gonna have to open it up to have a look. So there is Mr. Albino, doing really well, hiding in the substrate. So we class these tanks as temporary housing, because I need to keep a closer eye on them and making sure they're doing everything they should do. It's easier for me to do that in temporary housing tanks. Permanent housing, which what you would have when you take one on, you're going to be having a permanent house for him. You'd be looking at something like that down there, or that up there. And then there is the strawberry, which is a really nice patterns on the frog. Optimum temperature to keep them at is 75 Fahrenheit or 23 degrees. So just a tiny bit warmer than room temperature. They don't have a basking spot or anything like that, because it would dry them out. If you have a colder house, we would suggest a heat mat and thermostat. So you would have a nice heat mat and a nice little thermostat underneath the tank to warm the substrate and give a nice little bit more, and that would also help with your humidity as well. It's very important that they get the humidity, so you want to spray them once or twice a day, depending on how much you're spraying and how much plants and stuff you've got in the tank. If you've got plants and stuff in there, you're going to have a lot more humidity, so you'll be doing a lot better. As I said before, you're probably going to go down to 60s to 50s and then spray it, and then you're probably aiming to go up to 80. Between 60 and 80 is the ultimate temperature, humidity, and they do best at those humidities. They are a terrestrial frog. That means they spend all their time on the ground. So they don't climb around. Well, they do climb around, but they don't climb up trees or anything like that. They're a ground dwelling frog. So he makes a little nook and cranny to crawl into, and he sits there and waits for his food to come to him. What they are, they're ambush predators. So that means they sit and wait for the food to come to them. So they find a nice little hidey hole and they dig right down so just their eyes are showing. And then anything comes past, they jump out, whoa, and grab it and come back down. And then they eat that. They usually bury them. Once they've ate, they usually bury themselves until they've digested it, and then they come back out when they're ready to feed again. He's actually got us a nice big poo in the water bowl. So it's very rarely we get to see it, because normally they've buried it or stamped on it or done something to it. So I can show you that as well, and I can show you the other burrows he's made. There you go. There is a Pac-Man frog poo, or South American horned frog, or Argentinian horned frog. This is the strawberry. So you can see she's done a burrow down there. So that's where she'd sit and wait. She's also done a burrow this side, and you can see she's sat in a little burrow at the moment. So you can see she's made lights and some nooks and crannies just so she can hide away. And what I tend to do in these smaller ones, I don't tend to put the substrate in there because I want to keep a better eye on them. Her being slightly larger, then we don't need to keep much of an eye on her. We know she's doing everything she should. She's got the substrate. You've seen with our little buddy, they mainly eat live food and meaty stuff. So at this size, where he's very, very small, he'd be on locust and mealworms and stuff like that. I find locust to be the best. And then once he gets a little bit bigger, we're slowly putting him on pinkies and stuff like that, but he can also have live food throughout the week as well to give him extra power to become a big, nice strong frogger. So purely carnivorous, so they doesn't eat any veg. They can be cannibalistic, so if Little Green ended up in big Albino's tank, there may not be a Little Green left, because you'd just fit in her mouth, you would. So I've got a good feeling that they would eat each other if they got the chance. Substrate, there's a couple of different ones that I find are good. You've got cocoa fibre, very nice, very cheap, very minimalistic though. It's literally just cocoa fibre. The really good one is BioLife Forest. So this has got little bits of bark chip, cocoa fibre, soil, moss, loads and loads of nice stuff to make a nice natural substrate. A good layer of moss is good as well, because it just holds the humidity, and any tropical plants you can put in there would do really well as well, because of course they soak up the water and produce humidity, so that would help you throughout the day. You wouldn't have to spray as much if you had a load of plants. Also, you've got to remember they burrow. So I remember one of the first Pac-Man frogs I sold, I did a full scaped glass tank. So I made pathways and scaped it all, planted all the plants, and there was some places where there was big thick substrate layers. Customer had it for a couple of days and then couldn't find the frog and thought the frog had got out, brought me the tank back saying the frog's escaped. I went through the tank and found the frog buried at the bottom of all the dirt. So you have to be aware, if you put loads and loads of dirt in there, there's a good chance they're going to burrow right down to the bottom once they've had a feed. So if you keep it reasonably shallow, you've got less chance of them completely burrowing. But if you want to add enrichment and have a more natural environment for them, a good layer's good. For these, I wouldn't worry about any hides or anything like that, because they're going to create their own when they do their own burrows. So I wouldn't bother with anything like that. You can make it look pretty with some fake with some cork bark, some branches and stuff like that, but they're never going to use them. They may climb on top of them if they're on the ground, but they're never going to do much with them. They're not going to climb up a branch or anything like that. They just don't have the right leg span, and they're just too big and fat. In picking food size, I really take it to each individual frog. So I have a look at them, see how fat they are, how skinny they are, and how long they are. I usually go slightly shorter than the full length of the frog. So for example, if I get this frog out, I'll show you. For example, I've got to be careful now because he might bite me fingers, so I'm going to use the tongs. So I'd be looking between there, and that would be the food item I would choose for him, would be about that big. So we know we don't want to go full length of him because of course that's quite big. So we just go from the eyes to his bum, between the eyes to his bum, perfect size. We find a mice that big. When you're feeding locusts, it's slightly different to feeding a mouse. A locust, they're a lot smaller, there's not as much to them, so you can really just let them eat as many locusts as they want. But with the food, I'd only give them that one food item that one day. She fed, like, I don't know, you was running a little bit low on the right size, so you went down a size and fed 2 of that. That's absolutely fine. So for example, if I was on fuzzies and I'd run out of fuzzies, I could get 2 pinkies and do that, and that'd be equivalent of 1 fuzzy. When spraying and watering and water bowls and stuff like that, we use different water. Well, I do anyway. So for drinking water, we use dechlorinated tap water. So he's going to have a little bowl in there, which is his drinking water. So we use the tap water, just dechlorinated tap water. And then when I'm spraying him, I use RO water. RO water is better for the skin. It's better for the look of the tank because it doesn't leave all those white marks on the glass and stuff like that. But if he had this as his drinking water, it would take all the nutrients out of him, because the RO water is like a sponge. It's water in sponge form, so it is dying out for nutrients. So as soon as it touches anything with nutrients, it's going to suck up all the nutrients out of that animal or whatever it's touching, because it's lacking it all. So if you gave it to the frog, every time he drank from the RO water, when he weed, it would attach minerals to the RO water, and he would wee out minerals, and he wouldn't be getting replenished with minerals. So eventually he wouldn't be doing very well. So we give him tap water, dechlorinated, in his water bowl to drink from, and then spraying the tank and him, we use RO water so it doesn't affect his skin and doesn't leave the white marks everywhere. Quick little tip: when you're feeding, sometimes it's not the best to come straight at the front. I found someone advised me that coming from the side is a lot better. You've got more chance of them going onto it than jumping forward. So sometimes you'll be lucky and they'll just come forward for it anyway, but if you've got one that's struggling to feed and he's being a bit funny and stuff like that, you put it here, he's got more chance of turning to bite it than he has of jumping forward to bite it. It's a good little tip. Worked well for me. There you go, that's Pac-Man stuff for you. So there's quite a lot of little bits and bobs and tips and tricks of looking after them. But we just had a holiday animal arrive. It's coming towards holiday season again. We've got half term for all the kiddie winks. So in here, people who've watched my channel quite a bit would remember who comes in this box. So this is the Tallbox bearded dragon. He comes in a toolbox. So if we open the box, so this is a good example of quite a normal looking beardie. Hello mate, there you go. So he's nice, narrow headed a little bit, and he's all grey. So that's quite similar to the wild ones in Australia. But the wild ones have a very narrow head compared to us. It's very, very pointed. The our ones have been bred to have a bigger head. And you darling, yes you have. You've been bred to have a bigger head. So she's coming home with me tonight. She's going to chill with me. So she's here for 9 days. So we'll have a good time, won't we, darling? Yes. So we'll put her back in the tub, and then I can take her home and we can get her set up. Okay then everybody, I'm afraid that's all the time I've got for today. So please like, subscribe, comment and share. Ring the bell for me if you haven't already. If you want to watch another video, there should be one there. If you want to subscribe to the channel, she's up there. If you want to watch a playlist, she's up there. If you want to help support me, the animals, the rescues and all stuff like that, you can click join, and then now you'll be part of the membership and you'll be part of the tribe. Or if you want to see where I get my animals from, there's links in the description below. So I'll see you in the future. Bye.